stick.
Grab the stick, please.
Hi, welcome to the best of Mount Shasta. And it's very exciting for me to be able to introduce with great honor Earth Circle Drum. And they will be playing some songs and then I'll be interviewing each of them. And without further ado, let's get started. This is a wonderful experience for me to be here with all of you sitting right in this absolutely divine spot. where you can feel the effect of everything you've just created.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you, Mario. I started the Best of Mount Shasta when I moved up here because I had heard that it was a spiritual destination for visitors from all over the world who were interested in the spirituality of the mountain and what goes on here. And after I moved up sometime, I'd actually come up every year for 30 years, and I never met anybody just because I was exploring nature myself. But when I started to meet the people and thought to have a conference, my best friend from grammar school who lives in Reading, Trudy, she's an archaeologist. She said, you've got to include the indigenous people of the area. Well, I didn't know how to find any of them, and long and short, finally found Charlie Tom, and finally heard about this wonderful drum, and then I started to see all of you, and it's still a curiosity in my mind. Who are you, and why do you have the way it is, and how did it come to be? And give us a little of the story if you don't mind.
Well, I've been drumming since I was a child. I've been around drums and powwows since I was a kid. So I had that knowledge, but I didn't get my first drum until I started hanging out with Charlie Tom and other guys up here, going to ceremonies up here, playing on the big drum up, powwows, ceremonies, meeting other guys, getting invited to sit with people, and then eventually I joined my first drum group, officially, started powwowing and stuff like that, as a member of a drum, not one of mine again. I didn't even have my own drum at that point, and then one time I was asked to play, I think, by the old man for one of his organization's anniversary. I think it's 20th anniversary or something like that for Earth Circle, and I told him something like, I accepted, tentatively, but I told him, Uncle, I don't have a drum, so I don't really know I could do that. So he, figured out something, and anyway, I left there with a drum, so that was my first drum. It wasn't this one, but that's kind of how that started, and then when I acquired this drum, it's when I named it, after, him and his organization. Was one of his firekeepers for a lot of years, made this drum and gifted it to me.
It's quite an honor.
Yeah.
And tell me, what is the internal process? Because again, being that this is a spiritual area, everybody's curious about those that drum. What's happening inside? What pulls you to the drum? What is it that you want to be involved in?
Well, I know a lot of people are pulled. Me, when I was a child, I didn't really have a choice. I wasn't, forced, but I had to take care of a drum long before I was ever allowed to play one, or before I was even handed a stick. Like this, I had to set it up, watch it, take care of it, haul it out, put it away, watch it during an event or a powwow, or make sure it was covered up before we could go eat, or if everybody just got up and walked away, I had to stay there, because it couldn't be left alone. It's like one of the family. So you learn how to take care of a drum etiquette, and respect for the drum, and listening. You pick up songs and leads, just a lot of little subtle nuances, and like I said, and drum etiquette. That's like universal. Like basically, like I said, it's a member of the family. If it's too hot for you, it's too hot for your drum. And if it's too cold for you, it's too cold for your drum, whether you're indoors or outdoors, basically. And that's like a universal rule. But I still see drums in hot cars, and occasionally you'll see a split hide or a cracked frame or some pop laces because they got too hot.
And the people didn't understand it the way you
I don't know. Maybe not necessarily. Sometimes, you gotta do what you gotta do. You can, but like if you do leave a drum in a hot car, it's best to cover it with a wet towel.
Yeah.
So little stuff like that, which it turns out to be big if you have a drum that you paid a lot for, or that was made for you, or that you can't easily replace, or it can't be replaced,
It's
in its original state.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to see that that tradition has carried to today. And that you have that understanding of it and that experience of it.
You didn't realize it then, you know, at that age it was just like learning beadwork or anything else, you know. I didn't want to know that. I wanted to go play and go do other stuff and be a kid and be with my friends. I didn't want to go hang out with no old woman, you know, and sort her beads for her. But even then, you know, I'm sorting beads, you know, I had to do that before I ever got taught anything for almost a year. I was like, I ain't learning nothing.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you can't, you know, string beads on a little tiny needle without flinging them across the room and, you know, thread a needle and, you know, be dexterous with a needle and thread, you know, you're not going to make anything. And if you do, it's going to take you half a lifetime. So she was teaching me technique and other things before, you know, and I didn't realize that at the time.
There's a deep craving of young people, especially, that want to know your ways and feel drawn to participating in that. That's kind of like an unspoken thing, if you know the people's feelings and why they're drawn to something.
Yeah.
When you're, if you don't mind me asking, when you're drumming, what's your internal experience?
Well, it varies a lot, but usually it's all based on, you know, like I said, people being drawn. It's really based on intention. You know, are you coming, you know, to have a good time? Is it for a healing? Is it a ceremony? Is it a celebration? Are you sad? You know, although generally you don't usually pick up a drumstick or a beating needle or stuff like that when you're sad or sick or in a bad way. Because again, it's all about intention. You might not intentionally be trying to, you know, put out low vibrations. You know. Meanwhile, you know, back in the real world, we're only human, so, you know, sometimes we forget about those things. Or sometimes some of us try to do too much, even when we're sick. You know, instead of taking care of ourselves, trying to take care of everybody else, and it's not how it's done. But again, it's all about intention, you know, how you come at it. So, you know, if I'm happy or if I'm sad, or if I'm serious, you know, if I'm in a ceremony, you know, and I know I'm going to be singing for days, you know, or all day, then, you know, it's hard to explain. I tell people it's like when you're drumming, you have to always be present, but you got to be able to let go in an instant. Like when you miss a beat or you make a mistake on the drum, you know, even if it's just one song where, like I said, you're at a whole day ceremony or a 3 or 4 day ceremony. You know, if you miss that beat or miss that word or you miss your lead or something, you have to, you know, accept it, you know, when you hit the drum, you know, because you know, if not everybody else knows, and when you lift that stick up, you have to throw it away or let it go, and when your stick comes back down again on that very next beat, you have to be right there. Not on, I did this, and, you know, and bow your head, and it's not about that, but it takes a long time to get past that. A lot of people don't realize that, because I don't know, maybe it's just an instrument still at that point, you know. But like I said, in a nutshell, it's, you know, it's all about intention, and that pretty much dictates your experience. But, you know, that's with anything.
The song that you all played at the beginning, what's that about?
That was just an opening song, you know. That was kind of like how I was talking about intention. I was gonna sing that song today, but not right now. You know, I had a whole total. Actually, I had 2 other ones probably that I was going to start with first, but you know, that's what happens. I mean, I've made, I guess you call it, you know, a set list before, although I don't usually do that. You know, but I have. But at ceremony, you don't do that. You know.
So you're really in the moment with what's happening in the moment.
A lot of the times, I mean, it's good to have a plan, but you know, of course, you know, when you make a plan, things change in real time. You know, so sometimes it's easier just to roll with it. But a lot of people have to have a plan. Or, you know, what are we gonna do after this and next? And they don't like to hang on that first beat. But also, I'm not gonna throw something out there, sing a song that nobody knows either.
Right.
You know? So I won't do that either. Everything is familiar, so I make sure I do that too. It's not just I just pull any song at random, and you know, just like songs. Most of them, like all the ones I've done today, except for maybe one, were learned or given or shared, you know, to me. But some people, and most of them, you they are shared or passed down. But some people get songs, by family technique, or going out and praying for it, sitting, outside, sitting by the water, sitting underneath a tree. There's lots of ways.
You've really given us a lot of expression of what it's about, and I really appreciate that, because people have that curiosity, and they'll come and have an experience and walk away feeling really good, but then they want to know more, and there's no way to know more. So I really appreciate what you gave forth today.
Right. Yeah, and I forget about that sometimes too, because I don't know, when I was a kid, I didn't even know I was Indian. I thought everybody grew up like I did.
Right.
Until I went to school.
Right.
That was the first time I had cow's milk. The first time I had my hair pulled and told I looked like a girl. It was an awakening. I didn't like being out in the world.
Two worlds.
Yeah, but,
Anything more you want to say at this point?
Well, you asked about that first song. Basically, that was, an opening song.
Okay.
Wasn't the song I was going to open with, but, basically in any gathering, or ceremony, or even performance, there's a little bit of ceremony. You have to, open it up in a good way, pave the way. That's why we smudge, and then usually there's an order in the first 1 to 3 songs too, and that's just to start things and open up and pave the way, or basically to open the door in a good way and to get it all the way open. And then in reverse, when you're done, you gotta remember to close these doors too in a good way. So you open up, and then you honor the earth or our ancestors, and then you do a feel good song, or an earth honoring song or something like that, and then you either go to whatever the specific event or intention was, or then you go to some feel good songs or some fun songs, because you're past the seriousness, and do whatever you got to do, and then you move to closing, or unless it's a few days, and then you take a break and close for the evening.
That's wonderful. I really appreciate that you spoke about all of this stuff. I know I've been curious, but I've also had friends talk about it, and it's something that is part of all that awakening going on around the world today. People are very interested in the cultures that have been there before they were, and so I appreciate you saying what you wanted to say today.
Well, I'll tell you what we're singing too.
Okay.
I think as I'm going.
Okay.
So I think this next one we'll do. We'll do a woman's honoring song.
Sweet.
But it also honors, not just women, but our Mother Earth too, because our mothers were our first teachers. They taught us everything. They taught us love. They taught us what it was to be warmth. The very first 2 things we learned is love and warmth, and how to be fed, and our mothers teach us how to clean ourselves, take care of ourselves. All the first things. They're our first teachers. So that's why we sing these kind of songs, to honor the women, in our lives, but specifically our mothers and our Earth Mother, because whether it's plastic, steel, or metal, or whatever, it all came from the earth. I guess there's probably a few things today that were actually made in a lab that might actually be man-made, but it doesn't matter if it's concrete, plastic. It all came from something that was dug out of the earth or grown from it. So she gives us everything we need, even though we think we might have stuff that's man-made. We just kind of manipulated it.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's the intention behind it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's get started.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I want to learn drumming. Do you ever take 75-year-old women to...
Learn many things from 75-year-olds.
So, Carla, hi.
Hello.
This is so exciting for me to be here.
Aww.
And I bet you have a story to tell of how it all came to be that you're part of this and how you and Mario got to know one another. And
Well, let's see.
now, will the camera be able to pick you up? Maybe switch your chair a little to face the camera. Thanks. Okay. Let's see if they can.
hear me. Well, the way I happened to come onto the drum is, let's see, about 17 years ago, I moved up to Mount Shasta from the Bay Area. And initially I was just coming on for a 1-month break because I was really burnt out living in the Bay Area. You know, it's such a rat race and working all the time. And I was managing my family's restaurant, and I just needed a break. So I came up for a month, ended up staying for 6 months, and a friend of mine started taking me to the sweat lodge at Stewart Mineral Springs. Well, I ended up sitting next to Mario for months. You know, never thought about it. And then right like 2 weeks before I was going to leave, he asked me to go out on a date. And I was like, well, I'm leaving, so okay, what the heck. And then we ended up, you know, falling in love and having this long distance relationship for about 6 months because I had moved back to the Bay Area. And then after 6 months back in the Bay Area, I kind of knew that that my life was here.
Yeah, exactly.
And my daughter came out of that relationship, and you know, I started drumming with him and his friends, and like he said, you know, we were a little bit, actually Mario didn't even own a drum, even though he was a drummer before we got together. I remember my landlord, I bought a drum from her, because she had all these drums that just hung in her room but were never played, and really drums should be played, not decoration.
What?
I just killed me.
So I bought that drum from her, and that was his first drum. It's like a really big drum. We still have it. And then over the years, just drums started coming into our lives. Pretty much every drum we've had has been gifted to us.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then this drum,
These are moments how you know it's to be.
yes, exactly. Exactly. And, you know, it just kind of happened. Not everybody that marries a drummer ends up drumming, but I think I was asked because they needed like an extra person, and then I just like went in there, and then it just, you know, you had to learn the songs. It's with Native American tradition, nobody sits there and teaches you the song. You have to do it, and you pick up the song by listening to it over and over and over again, and then you just pick it up. You know, it's not this like a Western way where somebody actually teaches you. I mean, you kind of get taught, but you get taught by doing. Right. So everything is very much
there.
like doing and being. Yes, being present, being there. So, you know, started going to. Well, I was already doing ceremony or sweating on my own, but then when we got together, it just like kept happening.
That's really wonderful. What do you want to say to people that ask about drumming, that represents drumming as you'd like them to know about it?
So there's a lot of etiquette and protocol to drumming, which I don't think a lot of people like understand, and I think sometimes inadvertently people are disrespectful to the drum or to drummers without maybe meaning to be. So one of the things is that you can't just take somebody's song. That's considered like a theft. You have to be either gifted that song or given permission to sing that song, or you pick up that song by learning it, but you still have to kind of get permission to to sing those songs. So just because you hear that song or you own the CD doesn't necessarily mean that you can go ahead and learn it and then pass it on. You have to get permission, and then you usually want to acknowledge, if you were gifted a song, you want to acknowledge who gifted you that song. Or if you have your own song, then that's your own personal song. Those are usually very like sacred. I haven't come up with my own song. I've gotten bits and pieces of a song, but not a whole song.
So that's a whole nother story.
Yes.
What that's about.
Right.
Wow. So
right.
you want to say a little bit about that?
Well, so usually if you want to get your own song, you have to do, some kind of like a vision quest, or sit by the water, like Mario said, or sometimes it just comes to you, but it's a gift, and you kind of have to earn it, So I think the song that came to me was during Vision Quest, and Vision Quest is, you're up on a mountain or on a hill with no food, no water for 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and in the elements, you kind of just. So anyway, I did get a song, but it's not a complete song. And then the other thing too is you have to feel comfortable enough.
So do you think you have to
start
run another
singing
Vision
it.
Quest to get the end of it?
I don't know. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, you have to be comfortable enough to, like, really own it, and then you share it,
Right,
and then you start singing it.
Right, because it's so intimate when you receive it.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Exactly.
So when you were on the Vision Quest with nothing but you and the elements, did you feel like there was going to be a fear of being by yourself, or a darkness, or it was just comfortable because you knew you were being protected, or how does it go for
interesting.
people?
Wow. Well, I think it's different for every person. And I haven't Vision Quest just once. I Vision Quested, I can't remember how many times, at least 4, maybe 5. I've lost track. But no, I don't think I was afraid, because I'd been supporting, and so I kind of knew the procedure. I always recommend, if people are going to be doing these ways, that they support first. Don't just jump in. You can, but I don't suggest it. So you kind of know what you're doing, what it's about. So no, I wasn't scared, and I think a lot of what Vision Questing is about being with your own thoughts. And so how comfortable are you being with your own thoughts? And I've kind of talked about this before, but I think in some ways, when we were sheltering in place, it was like Vision Quest. We were all stuck at home with our own thoughts and nowhere to go and nothing to distract us. So,
You mean just recent times?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that as I've been hearing both of you talk, is how does this relate to what we're going through with the pandemic in the world today? And do you feel that, I know I feel when I hear the drums that there's an effect going out to the environment, and it would be helping people. But I talked to my cousin the other day, who's older than I am, and she's afraid to go out of her house. And so she only goes to the grocery store, and she just stays in the house. She has this fear. And, if she were listening to this today, that could just melt that away. And I feel that's, for me, that's sort of part of the good of what all this is about.
Well, these are definitely interesting times. Before this happened, when we would sit in ceremony or in sweat lodge, and people would talk, maybe tell stories, a lot of times the stories were about a time when there was a pandemic, or illness in the village, or illness in the tribe. There's a story about Chamuch, and he's a little lizard, and he brought the ceremony to the local Karuk. It's a healing ceremony, a brush dance ceremony, because there was a sick child. So a lot of the stories are kind of around when there's illness in the community. But I honestly never thought I would live through a time where there is illness in the community.
Yeah, exactly. The world community.
Yeah, and in some ways, you know, a lot of ceremony has stopped. We're not gathering, we're not doing sweat lodges right now. We didn't have our Sundance this year, we didn't have Vision Quest. So all those things that kind of connect us and tie us to people and to place and to community aren't there for us. So I feel like we have to create that community and that ceremony internally and within ourselves. And hopefully there have been times where I was feeling really low, or I was missing ceremony, where I did pull out my drum and drummed. But I mean, we haven't gotten together to drum in like 6 months.
Well, if you guys ever want Siskiyou Media Council to bring you together again, just knock on the door and let us know.
Okay,
really.
thank you.
This is so wonderful. How much time do we have left? I have no sense of the time. Okay, would you like to say anything more? Should we go for a song? What would you like the world to know about?
Oh boy,
I
think I talked a lot.
I think you said some very significant things, or at least I felt they were, and I really appreciate that. And I know there's so many people out there that will, like, I will send this to my cousin and let her hear the drumming. And
you know, I think it's a push and pull for everybody, you know, and everybody, you just kind of have to take some, well, for me, you take some calculated risks. You know, you be careful, you be safe, you wear your mask, you sanitize, you social distance. But I am going out and doing some stuff because
you have to.
You have to, right.
Well, she has like a precondition, so
right.
that with her lungs and things
right.
like that, so she does have to be careful. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting to hear people's stories, and I think you're available to bring a lot of healing to the world.
Thank you, and hopefully these songs are like prayers, so
yeah.
Hopefully people feel that.
Well, I sure feel like I'd like to hear another one.
Okay.
Is it okay with y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a spirit calling song. Now that we've started.
That was, I
Yeah.
love that song.
That was a spirit calling song for our ancestors and our relatives. Just honor everything around us and where we've come from.
When you first heard that song, how old were you?
That particular one there, I learned when I was grown. So the old boy that I learned that song from, he ain't around no more. I think he was from up Washington or Canada, I believe, around that way. So that song's from up north.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, say you live here, were you kind of the first one in this area to sing that song, or is that how the songs start traveling around?
I don't think so. Maybe around this area specifically, but no, I learned that song like just right over the hill in Oregon, powwowing. But it was like before I met her. Probably, I think I probably learned that song in the '90s. I think early '90s. So I guess that was a little while now. Actually, now that I think about it, I guess it's been a little while. But that's one of the newer ones.
So I think powwows are where, they're kind of like intertribal gatherings, and so that's where songs get kind of passed around.
Yeah, I could see. And then there's a whole lot of camaraderie just in that experience itself.
Most of the time. Unless there's money on the line.
Uh-oh. Does that happen?
We have drum contests.
Are you good at those?
Our last one, I think we placed third, but we
we got third place.
Drumming with other people.
So this is for real,
in,
for real.
In Reading, which is a really big powwow, we placed third. So that's a pretty good thing. I mean, we were competing against really big drum groups with like 10
guys that hardly ever sit together.
Yeah.
But we've been doing this forever, so still came in third.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's been a little while. But,
You made some comment about the how long something has been, and we've got 3 people left to talk with who represent a whole nother generation, a whole nother. Maybe you're kind of in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
But I'd like to. I'd like to get your take on it. How is this? How did you come to be a part of all of this? Now you had no choice, right?
Yeah,
she's been around drums since before she was born.
Yeah.
I've been drumming since my mom was pregnant.
Wow.
In the room, yeah.
And you have that memory.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And that says a lot, because that's what people are looking for today, is a connection. A connection with life, a connection with mother, a connection with something that has beauty and integrity and comfort to it. And so it's beautiful you had the opportunity to have that experience.
She'd sleep next to the drum sometimes
Really?
while we were playing.
Well, did you notice my little dog came in? Is she
Yeah.
still
Oh, yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, she knew what was happening even before you started drumming.
People
She
were
moved
surprised sometimes.
over there and over here, and she's actually been on death's door for the last couple of days. And I think I just kind of had a sense that this would be something that would take that away. And then just on her own, she wanders over here. She knew where to go for some healing. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's hard now, right? That you're a teenager. You don't necessarily want to do all these traditional things.
Well, that's natural, you wouldn't be the proper teenager if you were feeling that way. Somebody would say there was something wrong with you. It's hard though. I'll tell you one thing about being a teenager that you have to be careful about. I think about my mother. She's passed on, obviously, and of all the terrible things that I did when I was your age, and I'm so embarrassed. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful because things happen, and just life is life. But then years later, I just cringe at some of the things, you know. I just like, and then I also, people would say, "Oh, you're going to become just like your mother," and I go, "Oh no, I'm never going to do those things. I'm never going to go do those things." Here I am, just like my mother. So you have to prepare yourself, go through these experiences, but oh my gosh, be aware that someday anything you feel like you did wrong, you will live it again. So tell me, I'm just kind of joking with you and being a little, you know, hard the way we are on teenagers these days. But tell me, no, seriously, how do you feel about all of this? And what's the part you love most about it?
Well, I've been doing it like my whole life, and I've gone to lots of ceremonies with them. I've gone to like a bunch of them, so I think I like the part where like I get to travel and go to new places and stuff that I haven't been to. But yeah, I like it. It's a part of me that I'll always have, and I've known since I was a baby. So yeah.
In all the songs, do you just know them left, backwards, and forwards, and upside down?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really remember like learning the songs or just like singing for the first time. I think I've just kind of always known them.
Incredible. See, these are spiritual experiences people want to have, you know, because there's a connection. How do you feel knowing that you know all these songs? How does it feel for you? Is it a good experience? It is.
Yeah, it is. I think it's cool that I learned it at such like a young age, and then I've always like had it in my life.
Yeah, you're very fortunate. You really are. It's a gift.
She's doing good. she might not want to hang out or drum a lot, but she knows her way around a drum. She knows how it's done and how it's not supposed to be done. So whether she does or she doesn't,
And now she's
even on into her life.
Now she's trying to test
if she sees somebody doing something the wrong way, I mean, she'll know.
And she knows
how to store one. She knows how to take care of a drum. And she knows about leads on a song. Those nuances. She knows drum etiquette. She may not want to, but she has those things. I don't know if she'll ever have a drum. And this one too. But it's drums break. Things get old. But she chooses to go that way, or then she might just come to her.
She knows all the songs. Sometimes we just have to remind her to sing louder. She knows them.
When she first started singing with us, when she was little, she was trying to take my leads, twirling her stick,
really?
Trying to do the beats and doing everything I was doing. So she might not now, but like I said, she knows.
That's sweet.
And she doesn't have to take care of it.
You want the world to know about you in this process of being in this family and the gifts that you've received?
I don't know. Pretty much every ceremony we go to, my mom always tells the story of like how the drum came and how like I've been like on the drum since I was in her womb. So I'm pretty sure like, I don't know, the story goes around.
That's beautiful. That's going to be your one of your legacies.
One of the things that we, when we evacuated for the fire, the one thing we got out for sure was the drum. That was the first thing we get out.
Yeah, family member.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to get to know you. Tell me what your name is. Tell me why you're here.
My name is Shanti, and basically I'm kind of here with my family, and
This is her mom.
yeah, this is my mom, and I kind of didn't want to come at first, but now I'm really glad that I did because it's been really fun, and I don't know, this is kind of just like I like drumming because everybody's together and we're all kind of just one happy family. And it doesn't really matter where you came from or whatever, we're just all here at the same time.
You see how important it is your words are? The traffic stopped. And everything became quiet. And you carry that with you. It's a gift.
So, if I can say a few words about Shanti, I think Shanti's a really spiritual child. You know, she's kind of new to ceremony. Well, relatively, at least 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years maybe.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, but you know, she wasn't raised this way. But she, well, first her mom came into our circle, and then her mom brought her, and they were our neighbors. And just, you know, when you do ceremony with people, you really have a bond. So they're like family now. So I know Shanti calls me her auntie. Really, I'm like her second mom. She's like my second daughter. But you know, even though she didn't grow up this way, she's really has a heart for traditional ways and really follows. You know, she loves going to different dance to ceremonies, and you can just tell her heart is really in it.
Yeah, my mom had always pushed all of us to follow like whatever beliefs that we wanted to, like be open to however many that we wanted. And so when I first came up here, it was kind of like a new thing to try out, and so it's really been fun.
And so you were brave and put your step forward and went through the door.
I guess so.
That's wonderful. And then you have a friendship here of somebody, and the two of you, and
I've known her since I was in 5th grade.
wow.
Yeah, Jenny used to come up here, but it was always alone, and I didn't have like anybody to hang out with because she has an older daughter, and then the rest of her kids are younger, and she's the closest to my age. So when I first met her, we became really good friends.
That's wonderful. You gotta have that in life, you know? It's wonderful when it's there. It's a blessing. So Mama, what did you create here? This is wonderful.
Yeah, this has been such a blessing, I'd say, in our lives. I have 4 children, but Shanti seems to be the one that these ways really resonate with the most, and she's always the one that's like, yes, we're going to ceremony, let's go! And it was wonderful that Shanti and Sophia bonded the way that they did, because it's like, now Sophia's got Shanti to play the drum with and kind of hang out when we're at other ceremonies. And we moved up here, the kids and I, probably about 4 years ago
From
Sacramento area.
and what pulled you up here?
A friend of mine was doing some like metaphysical classes up here, and I joined in a sweat lodge at Stewart Springs, and I mean, I knew it was like this instant home. And Walking Eagle, the Karuk elder that leads the sweat, I just really connected with his ways and teachings, and I was driving up like twice a month for almost 2 years, like
That's
coming
dedication.
to sweat and different ceremonies, and just became really close with Carla and Mario, and then it was like, well, I think it's probably just time to move up here because this is where my family is.
Wow.
And
That's a big thing to do, especially if you have kids.
yeah, it was a really pivotal time in our lives, and it was just every door opened and allowed for us to come this way, and so we've just kind of I've been playing with them for like the last 4 years now, and you know, I love this so much. The drum is like the heartbeat. It holds so much like just beautiful energy, like you were saying, the power to heal, the power to change vibrations, and you know, Earth Circle drum is an intertribal drum, which has allowed for Shanti and I to be able to be on here and play, because like Mario was saying and Carla, it's about our intentions and what our spirit is called to do, and so it's been
That's
a
really
wonderful
significant.
journey.
What you're saying in today's age is and that's a lot for Mario and Carla to thank them for that you had that sense to realize the importance of that rather than the structure over it.
Well,
Yeah.
and that people kind of, there's other friends that have wanted to be on the drum, and it just, for one reason or another hasn't worked out. So it has to click. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to learn how to drum," but then it doesn't happen. I don't think it's something you can force.
But that you're sensitive to that and you allow it to happen when the moment is there.
Yeah.
I mean, that really, with the, I hate to sort of say it this way, but with the egos in politics, what you guys are doing in the world you've created is such a relief to humanity to know that there are people like the both of you that exist.
Well, and earlier before we were taping, you asked Mario about drumming with a lot of women. So that's definitely not traditional. Women in some tribes can't even sit on the drum, right? So,
What do you mean by sit on the drum?
like
This is called sitting on the drum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sitting and playing together. Yeah.
Yeah, you never sit on it. Well, I've seen kids try it.
Ouch, says the drum. So tell me a little bit more about your shift away into kind of this world, and the reason I'm asking you this is people that will be listening to this may be in the situation that you were in, where you were in another city and you feel a calling to be part of something, but it's different than how you grew up, it's different than how you are, and you're hesitant to sort of rock the cradle a bit and stir the pot and don't want to move out of that, and yet there's such a pull these days and such a need globally for people to walk these paths.
Yeah, I definitely was not raised this way. I was raised very forced religion, and it never resonated with me. I mean, even at like 5 years old, I was like, I don't want to go to church, and I don't want to wear these dresses, or whatever. It was very against my spirit, and I was always outside, barefoot, running around, playing with sticks. That was what felt like church to me. And at a very young age, I really resonated a lot with the Native American ways, because they are very nature based, and there's beautiful ceremony that takes place, and however, I mean, there's a lot of tribes that won't welcome you as much, being an outsider or not of native blood. And I think that's one thing that I really loved about up here. And Walking Eagle is very accepting and welcoming. He says that it's about what's in your heart, and again with the intention and whatnot. And I just I would say, I didn't just hop on this drum. I put in my work, driving up here twice a month.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was a lot of dedication.
It's like 5 or 6 hours one way, right?
Yeah. It's about 8 hours round trip. So it was a lot of sacrifice, and I, didn't always bring my kids. And although, a few of them have been sweating since they were like 3 and 4 now.
Isn't that
so
wonderful?
They are being, raised in this way. And, I would say that you in your heart if this way is for you. And my advice would be to, find a group that is welcoming and put the work in. Show up early for purification or sweat lodge. Carla and I have vision quested together, and we've put the sacrifices of our bodies, of our our spiritual practice into our path. And so that's really, you got to put the work in, and then it opens up wide for you and provides everything that you are desiring.
And I think one thing that white people have to be a little careful with is not culturally appropriating. And
How do you mean? I've heard the word, but I'm not quite sure how you mean
there's
it.
a whole, that's a whole, lesson right there, but you know, people could look it up. But just to take something without permission, or it's kind of coming from like an ego base, you know. So you have to be humble,
Right. And it's it's good that you
and you have to be
mentioned it at this
respectful,
time.
and that's
Yeah.
you know, I don't think some Native people are not okay with non-Native people participating in these ways, and that's fine. The ones that are, you know, you still want to come in a good way, and I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about Jenny. She comes in a good way. You know, that's how we say it, you come in a good way. You don't just take things like, you know, an example of, okay, here's an example of kind of cultural appropriation, but you know, Stewart is Mineral Springs was an open lodge, anybody could come. Well, I had a guy sitting next to me that had a big old crystal. You don't really mix those two things, you know, in Native ways. He didn't ask, can I bring this crystal in? He just brought it in. And then Mario's singing a song, and he starts to try and sing it with him, which he doesn't even know the song, right? And so I told him, I said, don't, you know, just listen. You know, you don't know the song. I didn't even tell him that. I just said, just listen. Well, he got an attitude, you know? Like, I know the song, and, you know, so that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah,
you have to come, it's Native ways is not Burger King. It's not do it my way. It's, this is the way it is, and you do it the way that you're shown.
Well, and you figure the length of time that the Native ways have existed on Earth, that's how it came to be a truth in and of itself.
Right.
But I'd like to do one more song if we could. I know if Mario is good with that. I think sometimes women have a tendency to talk too much, maybe. But I do feel I really want to thank all of you, and especially the younger ones, of just stepping forward and being, you know, honest and just speaking what you feel, and making that effort to do that, because sometimes, you know, with even peer stuff, it's hard to, you know, live the two worlds like that. So I really want to thank you for that. And what we're going to do is end with a song, or however many songs you want. It's your time to stop talking. Okay.
We'll close it up.
You guys come in a little sooner.
Okay.
Like sooner. I'm not late. sticks for a second?
Hi, Auntie Sue.
Are we off the air?
Want some
Yes.
sticks for a second? Grab your sticks.
Grab your stick.
Grab your sticks. Grab your sticks.
Shanti, don't
Grab your
ever just
sticks.
leave
Grab
your drumstick.
Grab your sticks. Thank you.